2025 state plan public hearing. As you probably just heard, we're going to go ahead and record this and put it up on the DOLA website for posterity and for anybody who would like to review it and provide comment to be able to do so. Comments will be available, accepted until Monday, August 28th, close of business, 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And that should give enough time to publicize and incorporate comments as needed into the final state plan that is submitted to OCS by September 1st. So we will jump right in. This will probably be a pretty quick hearing. The primary purpose is to overview some of the changes that have happened since the last state plan, provide a little bit of an overview of the process, and of course, let everybody know where they can access the documents for additional review and how you can submit your comment. Comments are open to the public as well as eligible entities, and we always really value everybody's feedback in the process. And we try to ensure maximum participation of our eligible entities, community action agencies, and partner entities in creating our state plan. So by way of a little bit of an introduction, I'm Alejandra Diaz. I also go by Alex, and I'm the CSBG program manager with the Colorado Department of Local Affairs. I am also joined by Josiah Massengale of the Colorado Community Action Association. Thanks for being here, Josiah. He's the brave leader of our training and technical assistance partner that makes so much of what we do in Colorado possible. And we're also joined by Becky Sad on our staff side, who is the CSBG program coordinator for the Colorado Department of Local Affairs, and so crucial in making sure that all of these things happen. So thank you both for joining me as well. Feel free to chime in at any time and we will jump right in. So the Colorado does a biannual state plan. So we submit a state plan every 2 years. On off years, we do just kind of an update to our eligible entities and things of that nature. And what the state plan is our document that we submit to the Office of Community Services to let them know what we plan to do with the funds. And we'll go over exactly what's contained in it here in a brief period. But yeah, so every 2 years we do it, and let's just jump right into some of the major changes that have occurred. We start with state goals. We'll go over the content of the plan in detail, but we're going to go over some overarching things here. The state goals for this next year in particular in the 2-year plan are additional training and technical assistance. That's always our top goal for me personally, and of course the CCAA is crucial in making that happen. So we want to continue providing more and better resources and policy and procedure documentation, resources both in the form of webinars as well as in-person training. We have a lot of resources that we're building out as far as regional forums and material involving theory of change, social return on investment. So while we'll continue to be a leader in Roma throughout the region and the nation, of course the CCAA has helped, we are going to continue to try to push beyond that and to really get even more granular with some of the training and technical assistance that we provide around the things that our network has told us that you would like and need, like data resources, how to analyze data, what to do with it, data systems. That's a big area of opportunity that we've pulled from our training and technical assistance surveys, as well as organizational standards. I think that's something that we've heard entities express is really important. And we've also identified it as, for me personally, an area that I'm going to really strive to improve from the state office level. So both the support and resources that we provide around that, as well as the active management of those to really make sure that they are a valuable tool in ensuring the efficiency of funds and the efficiency of dollars in the communities. So of course, training and technical assistance is always at the top of the list. IDEA, which I have spelled out in the state plan and not on the presentation. For us, it means at DOLA and across the network, IDEA means inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility. And so we're going to continue trying to advance that both internally at the state office level by increasing our staff training, as well as taking a look, continually taking a look at our policies and how we can really support and drive home equitable principles from our perspective, as well as providing trainings to the network, bringing in speakers with lived experience, touching on materials, resources, emails that help disperse information about equity and how we can advance those in our programming as well as in our communities. So we'll continue offering those resources and really trying to put them at the fore of what we are working to help our network advance in here in Colorado. And then, of course, it's a personal goal of mine to increase the effectiveness and efficiency of monitoring, to include incorporating resources that we're already gathering on a regular basis and trying to really minimize the amount of duplication of effort that we're asking of our eligible entities. If you're already submitting information to us, finding ways to use those in the monitoring process to really, once again, reduce the administrative burden, which has been a theme of ours for a couple of years, and we're going to keep trying to fine tune what we do in order to do that. So those are the overarching state goals in a nutshell for this year. And the beautiful thing about the state plan is that it, just like a community needs assessment, as we identify different goals or new goals, or if we get feedback that something is really rising to the top is important to the network, we can always change these. So this is part of why we encourage folks to give your feedback, take a look at the plan, really let us know whether or not you think it's appropriate and effective for the Colorado CSBG network. And if not, we would love to hear that. And if so, we want to hear that too. So feedback is encouraged at every stage of the process. And of course, questions throughout as well. I'll be watching the chat, or you can always raise your hand if you have questions along the way. Another thing that is highlighted within the state plan for CSBG is some changes to our eligible entity rosters. We have La Puente Housing Corp on board now, and the San Luis Valley Community Action is no longer a CSBG eligible entity. So we appreciate that entity stepping up to serve the area. We also have Moffat County United Way, which is going to be removed from the CSBG eligible entity list this year. And some of these changes lend themselves to areas without a permanent designated eligible entity. And at this point, those areas, as far as counties go, are Eagle County, San Miguel, Montrose, Ouray, and coming up Moffat County as well. So as a little update by way of eligible entities and areas being served or not served by a permanent eligible entity, I will just make a note that those areas are still being served by CSBG dollars by a subrecipient food bank of the Rockies Western Slope that has stepped in to graciously continue to support communities with CSBG dollars, even while we continue to try to find permanent eligible entities for them. And then a couple of other things to just touch on before we really just kind of scroll through the state plan and take a look at it. We're really going to work on bolstering our linkages work at the state level, and of course at every level locally and across the state, to include documenting some of our linkages connections, right? Really making an intentional effort at the state level to know who our partners are as far as staff go in these other programs, not just the programs themselves, but really who's working them, and to bring the network more resources as well, so that you also know who these linkages partners are and how to get in touch with them to increase that local collaboration and coalition building that we all know our network is doing so well. We're also going to continue relationship building with our Indigenous communities. It's not an easy process, but I'm going to continue working to figure out how we can be sure that their voices are heard and how CSBG is managed in the state, and we can lend any training and technical assistance to those communities if they would like it. We're also going to continue working to bolster the relationship with WIOA, make it more meaningful, impactful, really understanding what that means for the state and helping our eligible entities understand as well what that means, what kind of resources you can tap into, and how we do work together to collaborate and to create efficiencies wherever we can. And we are going to be sure to update the network on state accountability measures, which is something that I think we haven't been the most consistent in historically. So I will be sure to update the network, whether it's a webinar or an email, so that we are being held accountable to the network and you know how we're doing, because we are all about transparency, continuous improvement, those Roma principles of performance management. And so we'll continue reporting on our success and areas of opportunity as well. So I'm going to, of course, we have contacts here, and I'm going to switch over to the actual state plan so we can take a look at that here. Okay. Gotta love technology. Okay. So, do you see my state plan, Becky? No. Yes. Okay, great. Between Google Meets and Zoom now, the way that these all work is ever changing. Luckily, we're super flexible. So I'm really just going to breeze through the actual state plan here so that if you don't have the time to read through this 43-page document, you get the overarching sort of picture anyway. Before I proceed, Becky, Josiah, do you have anything you'd like to say before I carry on? Okay, awesome, thank you. So this is the state plan. I have to change the reporting period, and I will do that. And a draft is going to be posted on our CSBG grantee resources page. Of course, it's also going to be emailed out so that everybody on this meeting or before close of business August 28th can read through it and provide your comments, which we will also publicize. And it covers a lot, as you can see here, everything from state legislation and goals, public hearing requirements, eligible entity list, organizational standards, the use of funds, training and technical assistance, linkages, monitoring and corrective action, the eligible entities and tripartite board, eligibility requirements, ROMA, the use of ROMA, and programmatic assurances at the end, which is the sort of legalese. So a lot of it is very straightforward, just contact information for OCS to contact the state. And then I'm not necessarily going to read things out per se, because I really encourage folks to take a look, but this is how you know what the really detailed complexities are of ROMA or CSBG at the state level. This is where we talk about those goals that we've already discussed, the consultation partners that we have for training and technical assistance. And when you see, if you read through the state plan and you see partners that we're not using or resources that you would potentially like us to use, this is a great opportunity to identify that, right? Like you specifically know that NASCAS potentially has a training that you'd like us to offer, let us know through the comments for the state plan. State accountability measures, again, that's one of the things that we are supposed to be held to at the state office, and we're supposed to publicize our results just like we encourage our eligible entities to do, so we will do that. Here it talks about the public hearing, so making sure that we've emailed the state plan out to folks and solicited advice in advance and feedback. Here we have our eligible entity list. Yeah, you can see this is quite a bit. Organizational standards is also covered. This is part of why we drive home the importance of organizational standards, because it really is a major item that OCS looks at when they're thinking about how we're performing at the state level. So that's part of why we drive that home at the eligible entity level. Here you can see the exact details about how our CSBG formula is, how we come to that, and sort of what is included in that, including the inverse population density ratio. For the funding levels that are projected for year 1 and year 2, we've just used federal fiscal year 23 levels and kept them the same for projection's sake. Of course, those will likely change because we don't know what our final allocation will be for federal fiscal year 24 yet. But we have to project something, so we just project keeping it at the same level. And so that's the numbers that you'll see in the state plan there. Okay, distribution. One of the things that we're also working on is to ensure that we're distributing funds within 30 days per state accountability measures. And we're really making concerted efforts to be sure that that's the case. So we're working with our accounting and operations teams to make sure that we're distributing funds very quickly. Here you can see a little bit of a breakdown of the training and technical assistance dollars that we plan to spend. Of course, that's a moving target every year. The main goal is to just get the network what you need. So these are initial numbers that we've used, and they're certainly subject to change as additional needs arise and folks communicate those to us. There's also some content here about training and technical assistance and what we provide. We try to really provide a lot, including the community assessment, governance and tripartite boards, ROMA training, fiscal training to include cost allocation plans, which is another one that we might be focusing on this year, organizational standards. So if nothing else, just know that these are always available to you. If there's an area that you're struggling with, we can certainly help our eligible entities with all of those things. More content on training and technical assistance, linkages and communication, which again, we are working to bolster this year to ensure that we are effectively breaking down silos and collaborating and building coalition building more effectively all the time. Filling service gaps. This is another thing that in reviewing the state plan, I wanted to encourage folks, even if your organization is not the entity to fill service gaps, one of the things that we strive for at the state level is to help folks identify who is and create a system that encourages referrals and teamwork and collaboration in that way. Here we have information about cross-sector collaboration, as well as communication plans. We really try to communicate consistently, regularly through a lot of different avenues. If there's ever a way that that we are not communicating effectively or things we can do, this is another great area of potentially including a comment on what the state plan should be around that. Of course, there's monitoring here. Organizations have to undergo an on-site monitoring every 3 years. So these listed here are covering the next 2 federal fiscal years of monitoring. So take a look at that if you'd like to see if your organization might be coming up here. Corrective action as well. We have information here on the steps and policies around corrective action, as well as the number of agencies undergoing that at the moment, all publicly available. And information on statute and state statutes around CSBG, which I think we have relatively few relative to the nation. Tripartite board, of course. There's content about how we monitor tripartite board effectiveness, policies and procedures around it, as well as how we ensure compliance with tripartite board. Roma, of course, which is something that we are working hard always to advance our efforts around in the Colorado network, is also included, and the state use of funds. So pretty detailed information here about how we ensure that CSBG funds are serving low-income communities as well as youth, other programs, and our use of discretionary funds. So that's most of the content in a nutshell. I went through it pretty quickly, and then of course we have our certifications, etc. So that's the CSBG state plan for Colorado, federal fiscal years 24 and 25 in a nutshell. Of course, this is just a draft, and we welcome public comments as well as comments from eligible entities, partner agencies, anybody else, and we very much value the participation of the eligible entities and the low-income voice in every aspect of what we do. So we will disperse it through email as well as to some of our partners to be sure that we're able to compile any relevant feedback from stakeholders. And as folks have questions, suggestions, etc., please don't hesitate to reach out. And that's about it for now. Does anybody have any questions, comments, anything that you would like to share? Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. We're going to strive to get this recording posted as soon as possible. Josiah, thanks for your comment. Let's see. Okay, well, that's a long comment. Would you like me to read that?
I can summarize that, Alex, just noting the involvement that the CCAA has had with DOLA staff and the network over the past 2 years, leading up to the content and the priorities and goals of the state plan. We'll also release a formal comment as well soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Josiah. And thanks for your continued partnership. As I've mentioned, we could not do what we do in Colorado without the Colorado Community Action Association. So their support and help is always very much appreciated. Jessica, the CCA, thanks for joining us as well. And again, please reach out. We will email all of the information is available on the CSBG grantee resources page to find within the next 2 business days, probably the draft of the plan. We'll also email it out. Comments can be returned via email, phone, or those are the 2 primary sources. So we'll email all that information out, share widely with your networks if you would like, so that we can maximize the participation of all of our organizations and people experiencing low income as much as possible. Thank you for all that you do, and we will see you soon, I'm sure. I hope everybody has a good day.